I think you're right. I'm gonna look it up, but I
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the June 9th Apex Planning Board meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. We'll have a moment of silence, please. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amanda, you have items of information. Welcome.
Yeah, just one quick item. Just wanted to let the members in the audience know that there will be a presentation of the transit prioritization study tomorrow at Town Council at 6 p.m. So this will be a presentation by staff of the study that's been done so far and the results. So just that for your information.
Thank you. Right. I will open the floor for public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for the public to speak on items that do not appear in the public hearings section. If you would like to speak if you'd like to make a public comment, please sign in. To my right, your left. And I don't know if we have anybody for public comment, Jerry? Okay. All right. So I will close public comment. And we'll move on to the consent agenda. A consent item, approval of the minutes from the May 12th meeting. Thank you. I assume everyone's had an opportunity to review the minutes.
Yep.
All right.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right.
Second.
And we want to say your last name, please, for the record. Folks can hear us.
Well, I'd like to approve.
Thank you.
Curtis Prest, second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. With that, we will move on to public hearings, where our first item and possible motion is rezoning case 25CZ06, the New Hill Olive Chapel assemblage. Bruce.
Good afternoon, Chair, board members. Good to see you today.
Good afternoon.
So today, Mark Altman with Davidson Homes is the applicant, and they're petitioning to rezone 5 parcels that are approximately 16.5 acres in size from what is currently Wake County Residential 40 watershed to a medium density conditional use zoning district within the town of Apex. As you can see here on the context map, this site highlighted by the star in the bottom left corner is located to the southwest in the New Hill area. Here from the aerial, we can see that the property borders New Hill Olive Chapel Road and is to the north of Old US Highway 1. And currently the property is outside of the town of Apex's corporate and ETJ limits and will be required to have an annexation as part of this should this be approved by town council. As you can also see in the aerial, just highlight here, there are some other neighborhoods and subdivisions. To the north, we have the Woodbury subdivision. Across New Hill Olive Chapel Road, we have the Belterra. To the south, we have the newly approved New Hill Commons development planned unit development project, and then south of that, we also have Utley Farms as well. Here's the current zoning district map. As you can see, this beige color is the current zoning, which is again Wake County's residential 40 watershed zoning. Surrounding it, we have a lot of our planned unit development conditional zonings. To the south, there's some other Wake County general business, low density residential and such, as you can see on the map as well. Should this be approved, this would change the rezoning, of course, to that medium density residential zoning district. Here, the 2045 land use map is shown here, and it designates the site as medium density residential, medium density / commercial services, and office employment / commercial services as well. The proposed medium density conditional zoning is not fully consistent with the 2045 land use map, which designates this area as being a mix of residential and non-residential uses. However, given that there'll be need to be a dedication of a new public street that will most likely be encouraged to align with the new New Hill Common PUD across the street. It will make it very difficult for this area that is designated as office employment and commercial services to host any type of substantial commercial or office development in that area. So with that, this would require an amendment to the 2045 land use map to amend this whole area from the mixed designations that are provided in the current map to the medium density residential designation as shown here. If this is approved, this will automatically be amended in relation to NCGS 160D. As part of this rezoning, the applicant is proposing the following uses and conditions. The uses are going to be limited to single-family detached units, minor utilities, and accessory apartments. The conditions that were provided by the applicant include such things as enhanced architectural controls, environmental conditions, reduced side setback, road improvements such as road widening and the construction of a 10-foot side path along New Hill Olive Chapel Road. So where there's frontage, we'll receive those improvements there. There will be stub street connections to adjacent parcels for future development. Specifically, any future development that should come to the east and to the south, they will be required to have stubs there that will allow for easier and more fluid mobility. There's also a condition for dedication of affordable units, which we'll go over a little bit more. And then finally, there's a condition that the HOA may not restrict the construction of accessory apartments, which is in line with many of our other rezonings that are presented for you. The Wake County Public School Systems did provide a letter of impact for this development. They did state that there's currently insufficient capacity for middle schools in this area. And with that, there may be issues with, there might be current assignment areas should be anticipated. School expansion or construction within the next 5 years may help address some of the middle school issues, but possible long-term solutions may include the capping of students out to schools with available seats and reassignments or calendar changes. Additionally, as I mentioned before, they are proposing an affordable units as part of this development. The applicant has proposed a minimum of 2 affordable units at a current AMI of 135% for a term of 30 years. The Town of Apex's housing staff indicated that this 30-year affordability term that was offered is sufficient based on the number of units and the current AMI that is proposed. On February 27th, this did go before your Environmental Advisory Board, where the board suggested 8 conditions that were outlined in your staff report. Of those 8, the applicant has declined all 8 of them, but has proffered their own 4 conditions as well. These conditions include the project shall install 1 sign per SEM to reduce pet waste and prohibit fertilizer in locations. These will be in locations that are publicly accessible and adjacent to amenity centers, sidewalk, greenways, or other side paths. The second is to reduce irrigation requirements. They're going to supply and plant only warm season grasses. Third, the project will install at least 2 pet waste stations per 20 residential units. I think the max that they're proposing is about 42 units, so we can see at least 4 pet waste stations as part of this. And these will also be adjacent to amenity centers, SCM, sidewalks, greenways, and side paths. And finally, they will install signage adjacent to the wooded or natural areas as a condition for the resource conservation area, and they shall indicate that these areas are RCA and that they are to be preserved in perpetuity and not disturbed. With all of this, the town staff is recommending approval as the project has been proposed by the applicant. I have a statement of reasonableness and consistency I can provide you. I'll go ahead and read that now. The proposed rezoning to the medium density residential zoning district is not consistent with the Town of Apex's 2045 land use map, which designates the properties as a medium density residential / commercial services, and office employment / commercial services. The development will be served by a public street that will align with future commercial and residential development on the west side of New Hill Olive Chapel Road. The location of that street will not allow for sufficient area for non-residential development within the area proposed to be rezoned. The rezoning does include zoning conditions requiring public street access to the area designated office employment / commercial services to the south, and as well as public street stub to the east. Approval of this rezoning to the medium density residential conditional zoning district will automatically amend the land use map to medium density residential. While this represents a shift from the original intent of the mixed use area, the proposed rezoning will maintain the character and appearance of the surrounding area. The proposed rezoning to the medium-density residential conditional zoning district is reasonable and in the public interest in that the rezoning will allow for the development of residential development, including affordable units consistent with the character of the development to the north, which supports the continued growth in this area. Additionally, the rezoning will promote compatible development with surrounding land uses and contribute to an increased tax base supporting the town's long-term fiscal goals and sustainability. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. The applicant is also here to answer any questions for you as well.
Thank you, Bruce.
Yep.
Do you have any questions for Bruce? All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, with that, I'll open the public hearing, and is it Letitia? Letitia, okay. And looks like you have several folks with you today.
Yep.
that
and
right?
We're just going to keep it quick and simple for you all today.
Very good.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Board. I'm Letitia Shapiro, Morningstar Law Group, here on behalf of the applicant Davidson Homes. I'm joined this afternoon by Perry Verrilli and Mark Altman of Davidson Homes. Also joining us tonight is Ed Tang and Brendy Vega of Withers Ravenel, who have been actively designing the site, and they're here to answer any questions that you may have. First, it's always important to acknowledge all of the hard work that staff has done to get us here this afternoon, so I really appreciate that. And again, a thank you to Bruce for providing you with all of the great details of this rezoning. But I do just want to highlight a few of the things that Bruce had pointed out, and that is that the applicant has provided environmental conditions, architectural conditions, but most importantly, the affordable housing commitment that is going to put 2 affordable units on the ground for affordable home ownership in an area that is consistent with the character of the development to the north, and providing families the opportunity to make Apex home. So with that, I thank you for your time, and we're here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
All right. You were speaking for the group, but just wanted to confirm. Okay, very good.
We're all here to answer.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, with that, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussions and possible motion.
Just so I'm clear, if you don't mind, I assume that you're saying the location of the street that's coming in from the development through the west into the office commercial is not going to allow for enough. Well, when they align the transportation plan, then it's really not going to leave anything left for the commercial, or not a lot, very little.
Not a lot of room yet for
Yeah.
for the office and commercial.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, that makes sense. Thank you. I just want to make sure I was clear.
Yep.
Thank you.
I have a question. Will there be any connectivity with the development to the north of the site, Jazzy Street in particular?
That is not anticipated at this time. It's there will be stubs to the east and stubs to the south.
Thank you.
That's a good question, though, and that was something that Bruce, I was curious about. That the turnaround there, and I believe is that Jazzy Street, appears to be located in a way, unless there's a spite strip there, and we all love those. Unless there's a spite strip there, my understanding is that. Forgive me, I shouldn't say my understanding, is that it appeared as though that could be a potential connection. But are my assumptions correct?
No, so I think you're both accurate in looking at that and thinking that would be an appropriate place for a connection. I did want to mention that we have had a pre-application for this property to the east here to come in and develop. And so if that does come in and develop, what we're proposing is that they would provide the connection to Jazzy Street along their property here, and that this property would have to stub into another connection maybe further south where it's a bit easier, because there are some environmental concerns that just might make it easier for the developers who are doing this larger parcel to come in and to be able to make that connection and to provide a more fluid, articulate street pattern for connection for these parcels a little bit to the south.
There is also a spite strip along the west side of Jazzy, which would make it quite difficult
Yeah.
to revise to get a connection.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines. First of all, your staff analysis was great. Good job. And I was glad to see that that the side path will continue. I mean, it sounds like it should be an automatic, but sometimes isn't always an automatic. So I was glad to see that the side path is continuing in front of those existing homes, that it's not going to have a gap in it there along New Hill Olive Chapel. The other is, I noticed that in your condition, whether recommended or proffered, for the connection to the south, it specified the parcel to the rear. That may not matter, I realize, but I mean, if in the future that parcel, they both appear to be owned by the same person, and so if they were recombined or something along those lines, or there was even a strange little subdivision that happened, is there a problem with the condition specifying a certain parcel as opposed to just the connection to the south?
At this time, I don't believe there is no. Any future development will also have to provide connections to this developed area as well, to the best they can to meet the road infrastructure as well. Yeah. You all are very passionate about connectivity, and that's very appreciated.
Holding true to the town's UDO.
Absolutely.
Are we looking at just a single entrance and exit right now? Or are we looking at kind of making a U shape?
So as given, I have not had the opportunity to see, but as from what I'm understanding, there would be a single connection entrance at this time until the future property to the east is probably developed out to provide additional connections, and that would align right down here, again, where the New Hill Commons, one of their main full movement intersections, is going to be located. So it'll be should be right across, ideally, as I get
Okay, so there'll be one entrance to this area. Okay.
Yes, sir.
There would have to be a certain distance from that other road to the north anyway, wouldn't there? What's the minimum distance between public streets?
Amanda, do you know off the top of your head?
It depends on the road classification.
Vacation.
It's either 500 or 800 feet.
Okay.
But yeah, there would be street stubs, so there'd be only one way in and out until streets were extended. And I mean, if you look at their frontage on the northern side of the area to be rezoned, it's really close to the intersection of Woodbury and Belterra.
Yeah.
And so it's probably too close to have another intersection there.
So and that'll be a full access, kind of lining up with Athlete Drive-ish area. Okay.
Yes.
Correct.
I do believe that was a full movement in the New Hill Commons.
It is.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have any additional questions or further discussion or possible motion?
I applaud the two affordable units. 135% is a lot of times folks assume that affordable units are always going to be at or below a certain AMI, but to allow those to go to 135% really opens it up for a lot of folks. From what I understand, the Raleigh MSA, I think our AMI for 4 is it's like $115,000 a year. So that's great. I mean, that really opens up the opportunities for those families. With that, I would recommend approval as brought to us with a recommendation that we support the statement of consistency and reasonableness as drafted by Bruce, and send it on to City Council.
Thank you for that.
Braswell.
All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it passes unanimously. Thank you. And we do not have any new business. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn. Royal.
Second.
Second? Did I hear a first and a second? Okay. Last names for the record, for the live stream. Motion? Last name?
Mitchell.
Motion Royal.
Oh, yes, Press Mitchell.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Trying to get used to the